Hello guys, welcome back to my bench. I know it has been months since my last video. Basically I had moved and a lot of stuff going on. I was just busy. I didn't get too much time to model over the summer. I basically did a small academy kit just for myself about a month ago, just to get back into the swing of things. And so basically after that I decided, hey, let's I got this sword model almost a year ago, and I did an unboxing of it on the channel. And so I thought, you know what, I want to do something a little more niche, I guess, like not something super common. And I wanted to make a video of it and maybe do a build video, but as soon as I started the kit I decided that that's probably not what's gonna happen. We'll get into that, and I don't want to bring this down too much because I know they're like a limited I don't know what you would call it, like a limited manufacturer. So like they'll do this kit in a run, and then they'll do something else in a run, and maybe after a certain amount of time has gone by they'll do another run, and to compete with the big brands, you know, they can't just be doing your run-of-the-mill, you know, your Mustangs, your Spitfires, whatever, because people are going to buy the Tamiya one, they're going to buy the ICM one, the Academy one, Revell, the big names everybody knows. So they, I know there's this one, Sword, Special Hobby is another one I've heard of. There's some more I can't think of off the top of my head. But what caught my eye for this one was how different the little radio controlled, I don't know, I guess it's technically a missile, would be. And I don't know if it was actually ever put into production or full-time use. I know the plane itself was developed as a heavy fighter more towards the end of the war. Let's see, I'm just reading the manual here. Oh, it's a modified Ki-102a. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think it actually says. Oh, it might say it on here actually. Okay, it said test trials were carried out in late 1944, and the weapon was quickly ordered by the War Ministry. Launched during tests from a Ki-47, and then it was meant to be used on this, which is the Ki-102. So I don't really know if it ever actually got used. I think it was to shoot down bombers, but you know, this is actually radio controlled. Probably somewhat of an art, or maybe it was to be used. It's pretty big. Maybe it was for ships, actually. I don't know. It doesn't actually say. I should have looked it up more. So extremely unique. You know, I don't think anybody else makes this. At least not with the radio controlled missile that I could find. So that's the good part. It's unique. It's something you're not really gonna do or find. They try to fill, you know, a certain I guess you could say void, where they'll go for unique kits that people will buy from them because nobody else makes it, instead of trying to compete with the big brands. Anyway. And I do think I did a decent job on the paint job, the weathering, but at a certain point, when I started building it, in the cockpit phase even, I realized this is not going to be super smooth sailing. And so I turned to be more of this is going to be a build where I can experiment with things that I haven't tried yet. So I did paint the roundels. I did not use any decals. It only came with decals enough for the roundels anyway. So I have a little circle cutter and some masking sheets. So I cut those out and painted those on. I may have done them a little thick on the coats because I wanted to make sure. But I think I don't think I will ever use, at least for Japanese aircraft, the decals again, because it was really easy once you got everything on. Let's see if I can, is that too much? Anyway, so now into the build. The instructions are not bad. Like, I knew where stuff was somewhat supposed to go, but if you take a look, there is no real locator pins. Everything, you just kind of look where the arrow is and that's where it's got to go. Which, you know, okay, but you start to realize as you put it together that it doesn't fit all that well. There was a lot of puttying, a lot of sanding, and, you know, I would say 80% of my work on this was sanding. Now, if you'll notice here, in this portion, it says to cut out this into this. So I did cut that out, you know, where this rear gunner goes. But if you notice here, there does not exist. So for one, there's nowhere for this machine gun inside to stick out, and two, it fits together without needing to do that, and it was just extra work. So if you're building this, I would not even, I wouldn't bother with any of this because it doesn't come out of the fuselage anyway. The canopy is cut for that. You could do it yourself, but I don't know what it was supposed to look like. And even the artwork doesn't show it. So I don't know what it was really for. And B, how it's square right here, it looks fine. And so I just ended up, this back window right here, I just didn't mask it and I painted it so you couldn't see that. And then I busted the barrel off of this like 5 times, and then I lost it on accident. So we just sealed her up in there and I moved along. So yeah, most things just really didn't fit the way, it didn't make it easy for you. It wasn't impossible. The other thing was a slight annoyance. If you see here, these are actually the sprue trees. Exactly how they're laid out. The sprues themselves are not numbered, so you have to look at this. It's not a big deal because this doesn't actually have any of your diagrams on it, so I just had this out. It's not really a big deal. So I think they make another variant of this, which is why I think this and this exist, because this is a supplemental page that is for this, on how to actually implement this. So I think this kit itself exists, like I think they make this model airplane and then a variant of this. So part of me wonders if that's why this is here and it shouldn't be in there, but they didn't make a different set of instructions and they didn't really add it in. The thing that surprises me though is they don't have any locator pins for anything, and it's kind of just glue it together, except the landing gear is a really good idea, I think. I mean, this part, putting it together is pretty standard, but you actually build it into the wheel wells first, or the wheelbase first, and then it goes, where is it? It goes into the wing section, and it actually was really solid. I think that was actually a really good idea on their part. It's this kind of square shape, and it fit, and it was really nice. It was really solid. They were straight. And then as you can kind of see here on the back, this is why I think it's different, because I think the normal variant of this would be somewhat of like enclosed, or maybe even like a bay of some sort for extra fuel tanks or maybe bombs, although it said it was a fighter. So you put this thing in, and then this kind of sits in there. Where's the actual... I don't think it actually shows it. So this part right here is 2 halves, like that you can see. It actually, this built the best, so I feel like it was on its own tree. So I feel like this was a newer mold. It didn't have as much flash, and it fit together nice. I didn't have to do much filling. So the actual, I guess it's called the I-go Otsu, or I-go, however you say it, actually builds up really nice. But the actual pieces that hold it on, those are very fragile, very thin plastic, and this is very hard plastic, so it snaps really easily. The engines actually were very nicely detailed. Let's see, you may not be able to see them behind the props, but I will say the engines actually went together very nicely. The details were nice, painted up well. After doing the fuselage and wings, how much sanding and filling I had to do, I was worried that the cowlings would be a nightmare, but it was pretty standard. They actually, one of them had a gap in the back here, but it was on the bottom side, and once it was all solid together, I just put a little sprue goo in that kind of V shape that was in the back here, and called it good. The canopies did not fit actually around the edges. Let's get that out of the way for a second. Around the edges, you can kind of see it's not super flush, but I did end up using a lot of putty around so that the airbrush paint did not go in there. I phoned it in a little bit towards the end of the build. I was getting frustrated. You can see right here some panel lines that are missing, but I just done, days and days and days of sanding and filling. And I don't know, maybe I got the end, maybe this box was like the end of a run, and afterwards they clean the molds and, they go in storage for, a year while they run other stuff. I'm not sure. I really enjoy that this is done now, but the actual build portion of this was not making it easy. And then the elevators here on the back, pretty standard, just slot in. You're pretty standard, like most kits, they just slot it in there. That was fun. So all in all, they do give you some nice information on the front here. I can tell they put a lot of effort in to wanting to make something you can't just buy anywhere else. But I do think, maybe investing in some engineering, like, maybe a pin on the front and back to help line up the fuselage, or maybe after a certain amount of times you need to clean your molds. I'm not sure. And now that I have it done, even though I'm kind of not satisfied with my own work, I feel like I went a little too dark on the green. You can't really tell. And then since I decided I was going to experiment, I decided to use pigment powders for the exhaust staining. And if you zoom in too much, you can kind of, it's not the best. We'll show you the bottom here. I'm a little more happy with the bottom. And I do like it now that it's mounted up there, the little rocket, radio control rocket. And that was a lot of fun to do. And as far as painting goes, I really enjoyed doing the greens, masking off and doing the meatballs, and then kind of these yellow stripes on the front. And then painting even this part. Get out of the way. This part had a decal, these stripes, and I just decided to mask that off and paint those as well. So all in all, I think it does look nice on the shelf as long as you look at it from the shelf. Just because I decided, you know what, this isn't going exactly how I want, so I'm going to make it somewhat of a experimental in my painting. And from a purely modeler's view, maybe that's more important, that I tried something new and I learned some stuff, and I'm actually happy with some of the things, or I'm excited to try them again because they worked out well. But if you have this kit, this might be one where maybe you're feeling more up to a challenge of actually building and you don't just want to get to the painting straight away. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever buy another sword kit. I just maybe would do something maybe where the fuselage isn't two halves. I don't know. I enjoy the uniqueness of the kit, and like I said, I had it on the shelf today. I came home from work. I enjoyed seeing it there next to my other stuff. So, all in all, I am satisfied. I learned a lot. There were a few times I thought maybe I should just give up. So if you have this kit, just be aware of, if you're not in the mood, if you're in the mood for something to go together quick, that may be more of the path to go, and save this one for later. But, I'm really grateful that there are these smaller manufacturers making unique kits just to spice things up, because I love Mustangs and, the common stuff, BF-109s as much as the next guy. But sometimes breaking it up, doing something like this is a lot of fun. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Any comments, let me know. If anybody's done this kit before, let me know what you think. Any critiques, comments are always open. And we'll see what the future holds, gentlemen. I'm just getting back into it now that it's dark at 5 o'clock and things around here for the year have settled down. I'm not out of town as much, or I have a good couple hours a night to actually build. But yeah, anyways, guys, thanks for watching if you're still here, and we'll see you in the next one.